Making the CSU a legitimate and inclusive organization. So inclusivity through actually engaging with all of the members that the CSU has instead of just piling a bunch of words on them. And legitimacy through enacting some basic institutional necessities like financial policy so that students aren't always left asking the question, how do we get here? How do we let this happen?
Well, my team's most important goal, if elected, would be to, like our team name states, unify Concordia. So bringing together all sorts of students and joining them together that have like-minded interests or like-minded mentalities and interests so that they have other peers that they could, kind of share these interests and develop friendships from.
So our biggest goal is to create more awareness of all the services that the CSU offers. The CSU does so many great things for students, and it's a shame to think that there aren't enough of them that are aware of what those actually are. The plan to actually do that is to create tons of really cool online and offline communication channels that students are actually excited to be using, and we want to create better social awareness through those.
So our team's most important goal, I guess we want to recognize the CSU as a community organization within a university setting, and so that brings with it kind of two different mandates. The first one being to develop student engagement and student leadership while bringing as many benefits as possible to student life. And the second one being to help students stand out in their field of expertise as much as possible. And so we see working with student groups as the best avenue for this because they reach the most students and so they can benefit the most students, but they also develop the skills for students on an organizational level.
Okay, so 5 things. 1, making student space more beautiful through the use of students, like they did with the Hive Cafe project back in 2011. 2, orange zone classrooms, so essentially opening up classrooms when they're not being used so that students can study in them. 3, student space map, so that's allowing students to know where all the awesome places are on campus, like the G Lounge. 4, using the club surplus that happens each year to actually renovate club spaces. And 5, just generally working with the administration to make the spaces that we have better.
Well, essentially our plans for a student space at Concordia is to first optimize all the room that we do have right now, because there seems to be a lot of empty rooms or empty office spaces that could be used for something else, like a study space. But with the $10 million that's in the fund, we could look into renovating and possibly expanding.
So, our goal is to renovate all the key spaces in the university, Hall 7th floor, the Mez, the Hive, and of course finalize Reggie's. And the idea behind doing that is to actually take all of student money and put it in socially responsible investments. And through that you use the interest to actually renovate student space so you're not using all of the actual student money that's there.
Okay, so there are a number of projects that we really need to address, the food projects being some of the obvious ones, but there are other issues as well, like what's going to happen with the travel cut space, for example. So on that front, it really depends on what happens this year. We will definitely be trying to acquire more space on the mezzanine, as that seems to be a place where we could actually make more developments so that there could be more space for clubs and things like that, or other groups on campus that require space. We could improve the lounge space, and we recognize that engineering students seem to have a problem with space as well, so as president I'm going to make sure that we focus on these things as much as we can. We have limitations, but...
Well, I'll try to sort of summarize it in 20 seconds. So there's a large portion of our membership that actually feels really alienated and disaffected from the CSU and fee levy groups. And that's a huge problem, but I don't necessarily think this referendum question is the answer to those problems. So I'd rather see the two sides sort of work together and actually hash out a concrete solution that will benefit all students.
Because we believe that it's a very valuable resource for Concordia students. It's just a shame that not many people are aware of it. So what we're trying to do, no matter how the fee levy question turns out, is to work towards visibility and promoting these resources to students.
So it's kind of important for CSU executives to kind of stop telling students what they should be thinking and start listening to what it is that they have to say. And that's why we've decided to take a neutral stance on the fee levy groups. Our goal going into our mandate next year, if we're elected, is to actually work to assist and empower student fee levy groups to actually make sure that they can get the word out there about what it is that they do, because it is really important and students should know about it.
We are against this fee levy question on multiple reasons, but not the least of which being that it was very clearly a rushed process, and so if it votes yes or no, we're almost lucky if that ends up being the right answer. I think that we need to return to the table and discuss things more thoroughly before we make any decisions on this, although I am opposed to dividing the campus on a per faculty basis.